Very good morning. This presentation is brought to you by Resonate International with a mission to leverage knowledge worldwide. The topic being covered is global complacency on personal data theft, a crisis demanding immediate action. Ladies and gentlemen, the rapid digitalization of our world has transformed personal data theft into a global crisis of staggering proportions. Every day, citizens are exposed to identity fraud, phishing scams, and financial losses that affect their lives and their livelihoods. Despite the growing frequency and impact of these crimes, now affecting 1 in 3 people worldwide, there is a troubling lack of unified response. In 2022 alone, global cybercrime cost $8.4 trillion in losses, with projections reaching $10.5 trillion annually by 2025. This crisis cannot be left to individuals or isolated regulations. It requires a focused global strategy. The data theft spans a range of illegal activities, each impacting victims differently. Let's look in detail. First, identity theft. In the US, 1.4 million cases of identity theft were reported in 2021, with victims often facing legal and financial issues that can take years to resolve. For example, the 2020 Experian data breach affected 24 million individuals worldwide, compromising sensitive personal information. Second is KYC frauds. Know your customer. Criminals use stolen data to bypass authentication processes, often taking over bank accounts or creating fake profiles to gain financial access. In India alone, a 2023 report by the Reserve Bank of India noted a 34% rise in digital fraud cases year over year, mainly due to stolen KYC data. Third is phishing and scam calls. In countries like India, where an estimated 150 million people are first-time internet users, the vulnerability to phishing is particularly high. Interpol reports that 90% of cybercrime reports in South Asia involve scam calls and phishing operations targeting domestic and international victims. India has seen a surge in fraudulent call centers, some of which were recently shut down after authorities uncovered over $200 million in annual losses to US and European citizens. Fourth is data breaches. Breaches in large corporations reveal the scale of the problem. The Aadhaar data breach in India exposed personal data of 1.1 billion citizens in 2018, a case that underscored the risks in digital identity schemes and the need for stringent security measures. Similarly, in 2021, the Facebook leak of 530 million user records across the globe was a stark reminder of digital vulnerabilities affecting billions. There are disturbing impacts for the victims. The repercussions of data theft are truly profound. For example, first, financial loss. According to the FBI, global losses from identity and financial theft surpassed $3 billion in 2022 alone, with individual victims often losing between $1,500 and $10,000. Second is emotional distress. Surveys reveal that 65% of victims report severe anxiety and loss of trust in online platforms, while many face disruptions to their careers, finances, and personal lives. Third is deterioration of trust. Trust in digital systems is eroding rapidly. A 2023 McKinsey survey found that 73% of consumers are less confident using digital services due to data breaches, posing a challenge for those nations which are pushing for digitalization. There are hotspots of concern. Certain regions face particularly high risks due to inadequate cybersecurity frameworks and enforcement. India, despite being a global tech leader, India lacks comprehensive data protection, placing its 700 million internet users at risk. Cybercrimes increased by 37% in 2022, with fraud, KYC scams, and phishing leading the list. Southeast Asia, nations like the Philippines and Thailand are frequently cited by Interpol as hubs for international phishing and scam networks, largely due to limited enforcement and burgeoning digital adaptation. Africa, in Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana, cybercrime rates are escalating, driven by a lack of regulatory frameworks and economic hardship. The continent's digital financial transactions have made it a lucrative target for cyber criminals. There are examples also which convey effective action taken. The United Kingdom's National Cyber Security Center, for example, NCSC, is one model of successful intervention, reducing online scams by directly engaging with telecom providers to block scam calls and phishing sites. Their collaborative efforts cut phishing incidents by 30% from 2021 to 2023, providing a replicable model for other nations. In India, cyber police units in states like Maharashtra have led Operation Clean, successfully dismantling hundreds of illegal call centers and arresting over 2,000 individuals engaged in cyber fraud. This proactive approach highlights the importance of regional efforts in curbing digital crimes. Looking at all above, what's the way forward? For an effective response, a coordinated international effort is essential. The key steps should include: 1. Global cybersecurity framework. Nations should form a coalition to establish a standardized cybersecurity framework, bridging regulatory gaps and enabling cross-border cooperation on data protection and prosecution. Second is victim support systems. The governments must create assistance programs offering legal aid, credit monitoring, and recovery support for victims, acknowledging that individuals alone cannot manage the full burden of recovery. Third is mandatory data breach notifications. Real-time notification laws should be implemented, obliging organizations to alert affected individuals immediately and minimizing further risks to their data. Fourth is stricter penalties for non-compliance. Countries must enforce steep penalties on corporations failing to secure customer data, incentivizing organizations to adopt robust security protocols. Fifth is cybersecurity education programs. Expanding public education on cybersecurity is essential, especially in developing regions where digital literacy is lower. Programs targeting vulnerable populations can help mitigate the risk of phishing and scams. Sixth is public-private partnership and collaboration. Governments should work closely with tech firms and financial institutions to implement advanced security standards, share threat intelligence, and stay ahead of evolving cyber threats. Seventh is international task forces. Establish a global task force under the United Nations or a similar body to tackle data theft, focusing on intelligence sharing and coordinated legal action against cyber criminal networks. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the world's lax response to data theft leaves billions vulnerable to devastating consequences, including financial ruin, emotional trauma, and erosion of trust in digital systems. As the digital economy expands, cyber criminals are exploiting these gaps, undermining individual security and ultimately societal stability. Addressing this crisis requires a shared commitment across borders, industries, and the governments to build a robust framework of accountability and protection. Data protection should be regarded as a fundamental right, and protecting it should be a global priority. The stakes are too high to continue with the passive observation. Only through concerted, unified action can the tide of data theft be turned, restoring safety and trust in the digital future for everyone. Good luck, best wishes, and God bless.